try to get my thoughts out real quick with this sun in my face, and I didn't bring shade. So, hey everybody, I don't believe anybody's on yet, but as you all know, you may not know, I have this like guilty pleasure of watching Kevin Samuels, who is like a YouTube, I'll call him a YouTube phenomenon, because that man is changing the culture one delusional woman at a time. But anyway, I was listening to an Instagram live that he had with a young woman. I believe she was from Louisiana, single, never married, 3 children, 3 different baby daddies. And typically what Kevin will do is he'll just ask like these general questions in terms of, you know, what women want. And I believe he kind of asked her, you know, when you're 60 years old, she was like 28 at the time, but he asked her, he was like, when you're 60, you know, where do you see your life? Like, what do you see yourself doing at 60? And she responded and said that, you know, well, at 60, you know, I see myself retired, you know, kids with their trust funds, and you know, my businesses would have already been, you know, started and doing well, and maybe I'll be on a beach somewhere. And I'm listening to her, and it could be me, but I'm listening to her and I'm like, wow, that's pretty intense. You know, at 60 you're gonna be doing all that, and you're currently like 28 years old, and you're unmarried, you got 3 kids, 3 different baby daddies, you know, you just kind of work like regular Americans. And I'm listening, thinking, you know, 1, how is she going to accomplish all that? And 2, where does the desire to even have all that come from? I was like, when I was 28, if somebody had asked me at 60 how I saw myself, I probably, I don't know, maybe it's just because I think different. I wouldn't even have thought to begin with some of the things she mentioned. But anyway, so Kevin's asking her, you know, did you go to college? And she's like, no, kind of off and on. And he's asking her, you know, in order for you to accomplish this, how much money do you think it's gonna take to generate and manifest all these things that you're saying? And she's like, you know, probably $250,000 to $500,000. He's like, okay, what percentage of women in America like make that kind of money annually, like regularly? And she didn't really know, but she was intrigued and was interested in finding out what the answer was. And Kevin responds and tells her, you know, it's less than a half, or like it's 0.1% or something. It's like really, really low, the statistics of women who earn between $250,000 and $500,000 a year. And so he asked her about her childhood, like, you know, do you come from parents who lived that way? And she was like, well, I didn't meet my dad until I was 17, and my mom was a nurse, and no, she didn't make that kind of money. So he was just asking her, you know, what's wrong with being average? Like, what's wrong with being like just regular? And she said something that I know is going to hit home for a lot of people, because I get it, but what I'd like to do is flesh it out some. She said that, you know, just having like a 9 to 5, like that just doesn't resonate with me. You know, a 9 to 5 just doesn't resonate with me, and I want to be my own boss. And so that's what brings me to the topic of this live. You know, what do you do when your fantasies clash with reality? And I know Kevin Samuels, he gets a lot of flack because people say, oh, well, he's just crushing women's dreams, and he doesn't even allow them room to like hope. And that's really not what he's doing. What he's doing is what I find that when you have a man in your life, he's doing what men do, which is let's deal with the facts. Let's deal with the reality. Let's deal with what it is that you want in relationship to where you really are. And let's see if what you want is possible or probable. Like, possibilities and probabilities are not synonymous. And I feel that I can comment on this because, as y'all know, I'm an entrepreneur, right? But what people don't know is before I became an entrepreneur, I worked a 9-to-5. And what I find many people who desire entrepreneurship, what they don't understand is you can't desire or even remotely think you can be your own boss and you haven't followed and become a good follower. You haven't become a person that's subject to authority and knows how to do that well. Like, you will fail as an entrepreneur if you're unwilling to take wise counsel, if you're unable to follow, if you're unable to be disciplined in the basics, which is reporting to somebody's job and working for somebody. Like, it doesn't just happen. Like, I didn't just wake up one day and then next thing I knew, I had 2 furniture stores. Like, that is not how it goes down. And this is probably why I hate social media. Because on social media, you would think, like, wow, like, one day she's doing this, and then next thing I know, it's like, bam, it just happened for her. So if it just happened for her, it'll happen for me. And I'm here as your sister in the Lord to say, pump your brakes, boo-boo. No, that's not how it happened. What happened is that April developed a healthy doctrine of work at the age of 15. Like, I had my first job, my first W-2 employment at 15 years old. And I worked at a Hallmark. And I learned the basics of running a retail operation by ringing up greeting cards and candy for people. And I remember, even back then, I said, wow, it sure would be nice to run my own business one day. Because I remember at the time, the person that owned the Hallmark, like, they were never there. Like, I would come in for my shift and I would work, and then when my shift was over, I would lock up and I would walk right back over to my dorm. I was in boarding school, so the Hallmark was like a few blocks away from our campus. And it was a part-time job. Like, I was only there from like 3 to 6. Like, it was hardly managerial, but it was my first job. And I remember having to learn all of the basics of what it took to start mid-shift, to close up, counting down the drawer, like, just stuff you learn in retail. And then after high school, I went to college, and I remember I said my freshman year, oh, I don't want to work a job. I can't work a job and be focused on school at the same time. So my first semester at Spelman, I didn't work. But I also found that at the end of that semester, my grades sucked. Why? April had too much time on her hands. April spent too much time there on Morehouse's campus. And when class was over, I thought that was turn up time, right? I thought, oh, class is done. I'm about to walk across the way, see what's happening over at Mays Hall, and so forth and so on. Make a long story short, GPA comes out. My mama's like, oh, you went to college to have big fun. Well, guess what? I ain't sending you no more money. In second semester, you got to get a job. And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail because I can't work and go to school. But you know what? Guess what happened? Second semester, your girl came out with a 3.2 GPA. You want to know why? Because it had hit the fan at that point. I was like, I have to go to class, I have to study, and then I gotta go to work. And I was coming home from work at like 11 o'clock at night, and then still trying to get schoolwork done, and then would get up and go to class in the morning. And what I found out is that what I thought was going to be impossible forced me to be disciplined, and it forced me to get done what I needed to get done, and it held me accountable. Because I knew I couldn't go to class and fall asleep. I knew I couldn't sleep in and be like, you know what, I'll just get the notes from so-and-so. No. I stopped sitting in the back. I started sitting in the front because I have a short attention span. So I couldn't have people sit in front of me, because then I would get distracted. I'd be like, ooh, her hair is cute. I wonder what color I'm going to dye my hair this week. Or I'd be like, yo, that shirt is hot. Where you get that from? No. I had to sit in the front row so I wouldn't be distracted about who was ever in front of me. Change my life. So the reason why I bring up this question is like, why is it? Like, I grew up, like, let Robert tell it, I came from poverty. And I probably did. If I looked at, like, financially how much my mom made in relationship to the rest of our neighbors, we probably were below the poverty line. But I thought we were middle class. But I don't think we were middle class. But I'm like, how does someone who grew up in poverty or middle class just one day just say, I want to make $500,000 a year? And it's great to have wants and desires, but I'm trying to figure out, like, where do so many young girls get this mindset that they're just gonna literally generate $500,000 in income consistently over the course of their lifetime to sustain this picture in their mind that they have, that they want these $500,000 houses, they want to drive these expensive cars, you know, they're like, you know, I'm going to have these businesses and all my businesses are going to be doing this, that, and the third. And I'm like, have you ever even worked for anybody? Like, have you punched a clock before? Like, have you ever, and some people like, well, yeah, you know, I've worked a job, but I'm like, okay, so how were you in that role? Like, did you report to that job? Hold on, y'all, my signal might go bad, so let me okay, I'm sorry, y'all, I had pulled up. No, I'm just like, I don't understand. Well, no, I do. Let me stop acting like I don't. I do understand. I know exactly where that desire comes from. And I think social media is fueling this unhealthy desire in our young people to want things and to desire things that they put no thought into the how. Like, how were you going to get it? Where is the money going to come from for you to do? Retire at 60 anymore, but have y'all seen inflation lately? Like, do you know how much money it takes to live these days? Like, I don't want to rain on people's parades, but when your fantasies start clashing with reality, at some point, it takes someone who loves you enough to be like, all of these things that you want, where in your life have you ever gotten those kind of outcomes? And furthermore, if you have never seen in your life where you've made progressive steps toward reaching these goals, do you leave room for the possibility that you haven't thought it out enough to where you have like a clear path on how you're going to get there? Why do I say that? I get it. Entrepreneurship is very attractive. It is. Like, I've had the desire to be an entrepreneur since I was 5 years old. Like, that's a lot. Like, I don't meet many 5-year-olds that say, I want to run a business. And that desire, it didn't come from because I saw people in my family with that desire. I think it was more, I have the gift of administration, meaning the Lord has uniquely equipped me with certain skills. Like I can see, like if a person comes to me and say, hey, I want to start this kind of business. I have this innate ability to look at it from a broad perspective and then drill it down to those finite details and say, you're going to need this. You're definitely going to need this. And you're going to need this, this, and this. And then once you do that, then you're going to need this. And this is before you even get into the marketplace. And there are so many people that I've talked to who desire to be an entrepreneur. When I start drilling down them details like that, they be like, oh, nah, like that's too much. Or I don't want to do all that. Or they'll say, well, I don't know how to do that. And I'm just baffled. I'm like, but you said this is what you wanted. So why don't you have the desire to go learn how to do it? And so that brings me, hold on, y'all, I'm trying to, this is my operating procedures, my opening procedure. I got to get the music on and get things going. It baffles me because I'm like, but you said that you want to work for yourself. So where do you think, who's going to do these things for you if you don't learn how to do it and then do it? And that's why I'm like, half of the time these people, they're just talking. They have put zero thought into what it is that they want to do and then how. They don't think about the how. And I get real worried when I hear young girls, 18, 20, 22, even 25, like, yeah, I'm going to have these businesses and these businesses is going to fund this lifestyle. And then, I'm going to retire at 60 and I'm going to just live on the beach sipping on pina coladas. And I'm like, ma'am, I've been in this game a really long time and I've been on the beach and I've had a few pina coladas, but that's not my everyday life. Like I get pockets and windows of reprieve when I can just sit on the beach with a pina colada, but that's not like my everyday. Like the average small business owner is out working hands down the average American employee. Like if y'all know how many hours a week that I put in, you'll be like, see, I ain't gonna be able to do it. I need my sleep. I need my rest. I need my weekends. You don't get weekends. You take weekends, but they don't just manifest. And I think the reason why I wanted to come on and talk about this, because you need people in your life who love you enough. They're not crushing your dreams, but they're putting feet and details to your dreams. And a lot of you, when you actually see the details and the fine minutia of it all, it may not be what you really want. Or you might be like, I'm unwilling. Hold on, this music loud. Hold on. You might be unwilling. You might be unwilling to do what it takes. The level of sacrifice. It's a lot. And so I said all that to say, when your fantasies clash with reality, what do? There's nothing wrong. As much as I love entrepreneurship and I do preach entrepreneurship because I think it's an amazing path to being financially independent, what I don't want to do is be completely lopsided and neglect the fact that before I was an entrepreneur, I was a faithful employee. Now, there's a caveat to that. Once I started, the more kids I had, the worse that got. But I'm talking about like in my early employment career, you can ask anybody I've ever worked for. And I might even be Facebook friends with some of my former bosses. You can ask anybody I've ever worked for and they will tell you, I never had an employee that gave me as much of themselves as that darn April. Well, at the time was April Charles and then I became April Chapman. They will tell you that they could trust me with their business and they knew when they came back, it wasn't going to just be how they left it. It was going to be better than it was before they left. They would tell you that. They would tell you that they knew that I had a heart for what I was doing and I was faithful in the task that they gave me. Yes, that manifestation coach, girl, I don't, like, even in Christianity, like, we're people of faith, but we put, show me your faith and I'll show you the works as a result of the faith, but it ain't like we just believe and then stuff just happens. Like, that is not how the real world works. It is insane. But the reason why I bring up my previous employment history is because it matters. Being your own boss or being like the boss chick and getting the bag, it is a level of responsibility that average people don't really want. They see the fruit of that labor, but they don't want to participate in the labor. They don't. They think I'm selling lashes and that's going to retire me. And I'd be like, sis, all right, lashes are a phenomenon right now, but how many lashes do you need to sell to generate the level of income that you need to take care of yourself? And when you ask them, they can't tell you how many lashes they need to sell. Like, how many sets of lashes? Like, how many? Is it 10 sets? Is it 200 sets? Like, what kind of volume do you need to be doing in order to generate a sizable income consistently? Like, you can't just be like, last month I sold 10,000 units, but this month I only did 20. That's not sustainable. You need to know the numbers. And most of these young people, they don't know the numbers. They don't even have accounting software and can pull a report to say, well, last month I sold this month, and this month I'm on track based on my previous sales history to sell that much. They haven't a clue. They have not done the research or the math, nor do they understand and recognize that there's just some industries that are so saturated that you would literally, it would have to be a miracle for it to happen for you. Now, here's what I'm not saying. I am not raining on anybody's parade. But what I am doing is young people need to get crystal clear on how people like me got to where we are. And I'm still not even nowhere. When I say nowhere, meaning every dime I earn outside of providing for my family, we save some, but the rest of it is reinvested. Like, I wouldn't be here if I just took every piece of revenue after expenses were made and just balled out. Like, we wouldn't have made it past the 5-year mark. Like, we'll be 9 years. The furniture loft will be 9 years old in May. But people understand, before the furniture loft, I had a delivery service. And then before that, I had my own insurance agency. And then in between that, I had like a bridal production company. So like, this has been a journey. My entire 20s and all of my 30s, I was building to where I am now. That's like 20 years if you do the math. Like, let me see. I started my insurance agency, I was 25, and then we transitioned into furniture 2012-ish. Okay, so that's my journey. Most people will start something, and if it doesn't pan out in 90 days, they will walk away. They're like, this too hard. This ain't making me no money. They build their little Shopify website, and then they just move on after that. And I just be looking, I'll be like, help you, poor thing. You thought you was gonna be the exception to the rule. You thought that was, oh, okay. You know, and you encourage them, like, well, just keep on going, sis. Because they're not really ready to have the conversation. Because I have tried having this conversation. And what ends up happening is, after like 1 or 2 times, they don't call no more. So I was like, hey, I ain't got time to talk to you no way. So they don't call no more because I didn't tell them what they wanted to hear. And they were unwilling to take the criticism and then implement it and do it. That's typically what happens. But the point of this live is, if you have never been a faithful employee, like you have not held a 9-to-5 job for more than a year, and you think just one day you just gonna wake up and own somebody's business, and then that business is gonna generate $500,000 in net sales. Like, I got some lakefront property in Arizona to sell you. Like, that's how crazy you sound. That's not how it works. It's not how it happens. And what I would rather see these dangerous Instagram influencers do is teach these young kids how to have a healthy doctrine of work. Teach them how to get up on time, to report, to clock in. And don't just clock in and ride the clock. When you get there, be useful. Be so useful to the marketplace that other companies are trying to recruit you and steal you from your current employer because you are just that good. Because you are actually impacting that company's bottom line in such a way that they don't see, if they lose you, they got to hire 3 more to equal the value that just you were to that business. That's what I want to see. But we don't see, that ain't sexy. Telling people, get up, report to a job, and do it as unto the Lord until you've gained the skills and the knowledge that you need to do what it is that you want to do on your own. That message is not sexy. And I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Because if my husband worked in a warehouse. Okay? When I met him, he was working for the airline. But after that job, he got this other job as a core technician in a hot, in the summer, cold in the wintertime warehouse. And I remember he was always hitting his numbers. He was just a great employee. Like, he wasn't an overachiever, but because he has a healthy doctrine of work, like, he never had to be told, you're slacking and you're not hitting your numbers, and if you don't hit your numbers, we're going to let you go. Like, those words would never come out of his supervisor's mouth. And on the flip side, I didn't particularly enjoy, after I lost my insurance agency and I had to go back into underwriting, I was just like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to love being an insurance underwriter, but I absolutely hated it because I hate personalized underwriting. Just is trash. No offense, but I probably had to talk to some of y'all calling in. Well, not some of y'all, but talk to your agent to explain why we not renewed your policy. And then when the agent decides to transfer you on through because they don't know how to manage your expectations. Like, I hated talking to y'all because I'm like, listen, you done had 4 accidents in 36 months. And now you got a young driver coming on. We don't want to insure you no more. You're not profitable, so you got to go. But you can't say it that way, right? So you have to come up with all of these, intelligent sounding ways to tell that customer their driving record is trash and they're being dropped. I didn't like that part. But I still did my job and I did it well. I learned. I wasn't just satisfied going to work, learning the job, clocking in and clocking out. I was like, how does this organization run? How is this organization making money? Why is their bottom line the bottom line? Like, why do the numbers that they're putting up cause them to be successful? Those were the kind of questions that were running through my mind when I'm sitting at a desk in a cube as an employee. Meaning, I was thinking one day when I have my business, I'm going to have to pay attention to these kinds of analytics and these numbers, because if I don't, I won't be in business anymore. I looked around and like, wow, this floor is full of cubes. That's office furniture. I wonder how much did all of that cost? I looked around at all the computer equipment, and every time I had to call IT, I said, wow, when I need to call IT, they just pick up. That's an employee. I wonder how much money they're making. Because when I have my business, will I be able to afford IT? Or will I have to be IT? Like, these were the kind of questions I was thinking. And now that I have my own business, I am IT. And I had to buy all the furniture and fixtures and the inventory. And you see them lights up there? This place didn't come with those. I had to buy those. And then there's power attached to those. That wiring had to be run. I had to pay somebody to do that. And I had to research it, like, wow, am I being overcharged? Is this the going rate for what it costs to run power from that suite to here and then over there? Like, these are all the things that when you work for somebody, you learn. But if you're working for somebody and you have a desire to be an entrepreneur, and I get it, on some level, you can despise being there because you're like, I don't want to be here. I can't stand this place. I hate these people. I hate this company. I wish the Lord would just burn it down. I understand those thoughts. But at the same time, you have to develop the mindset before you even start the business venture. And that's why I see so many young people, they've got these dreams, and I hate to be the one to tell them it's not going to happen for you. And it's not going to happen for you because your mindset is wrong. You want the stuff. You want the things. But you've given no thought to the journey and how you're going to get there. Very early on in our entrepreneurial journey, I ain't even going to lie. And I'm not being funny. I did not think about the stuff or the money. I couldn't. Because I knew if I focused on all the things I was going to buy and then all the money that we would make, that I would, one, I knew it was going to develop an unhealthy, it was just going to, idolatry was going to well up in my heart. And I didn't want that. Instead, I approached every day, how can I be valuable in the marketplace? How can I provide a product or a service to the marketplace that's so valuable that people want to pay me for it? What do I need to do that? And when I changed my mindset to that, then the money started coming. But it didn't come overnight. Like when we first opened the first furniture loft, like in Conyers, and we were just selling like used stuff. I remember the first time we opened, that first day, I was just like, oh, did nobody buy nothing? Oh, okay. Well, guess we'll open tomorrow. Like, you had to open tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And you couldn't just say, well, ain't nobody buying, so I guess this wasn't meant to be. We're just going to close. No, we had to figure out. It wasn't the people. Like, you could easily get mad. Like, I don't know what's wrong with this market. This market is trash. Like, they just don't want to buy. No. You have to leave room for possibility. Like, well, maybe they just don't want what you're selling. Maybe you need to change your approach. Maybe you're not merchandising it right. Maybe, I mean, there are all these questions that people don't ask, but they have these desires, like they just want it. And I hate that our generation is that I just want it. They just want it because they saw it on Instagram, or they just want it because they saw it on social media, but they've given no thought to how they're going to get it and what the plan is. And even the ones that say, well, I have a plan, but I'm like, all right, well, let me see it. And you start asking for the numbers. All right, well, what are your costs? And they're like, what do you mean your costs? Well, like your cost of goods. Like, how much does it cost for you to acquire this product? And what are you going to sell it for? What are your margins? They're like, what's a margin? Like in the side of the paper? No, that's not what I mean when I ask about the margins. The basics. And no, I am not. Here's the danger. The danger when people hear what I'm saying, they're like, well, I guess I need to go to college and get an MBA so I can learn business. I'm like, here, Lord, help us, Father. That's not the answer. Everything that I've learned, this is called self-knowledge. This information is not like, it's not Gnosticism where it's only a select few of individuals know it. It's in a book. Like, you got to be able to read a book and take in knowledge. You have to go after it. Like, read Proverbs 1. Proverbs 1 talks about how wisdom, if you seek her out, and it personifies wisdom as a woman. If you seek out wisdom, oh, she gonna be there for you. She gonna be like, here I am. I'm here. I'm here. Like, wisdom will be there. But it doesn't come to you by osmosis. You have to pick up a book. You might need to YouTube it. I mean, I don't know what else. What I find, here it is. No, I thought I had a spoon. I have a knife. Some of y'all want people to do this. Y'all, this is what y'all want. Y'all want people to they want you to take the information and spoon feed it to them. And then they want you to masticate and chew it for them too. I'm not doing that. I'm not. No one should have to spoon feed you everything. At some point, if you want what you want bad enough, and you have this desire and these lofty dreams to be 60 and retired and living on a beach with these businesses just arbitrarily running themselves, you got to go seek this information out because it's out there. But the problem is no one wants to do the work. They don't want to do the hard stuff. They don't know the numbers. They don't know the basics. They've never even been an employee. You ain't not been an employee of the month or the year. You've done nothing. You've done nothing, but yet the world is just supposed to give you everything. You don't have a healthy doctrine of work. You're late every day, and when you are there, your attitude is trash. Everybody knows you're going to be grumpy when you come into the office, so they don't speak to you. And everybody knows you're going to be trying to clock out early before your shift is even over. And it's the lack of discipline and the lack of work ethic that is the downfall of most people, and that's why they'll never make it as an entrepreneur, because they're undisciplined. It's that simple. It ain't that the world is just out and they're against you. It's you. It's you. It's you. I'm just saying it. You want these things, but you've given no thought to how you're going to get there. And when I watched that live with Kevin, he wasn't rude, but a lot of people don't like Kevin Samuels because he does what most men do in the lives of their women. He makes them get crystal clear on the reality. This is where we are. And you can dream and desire and want all this stuff, but these bills don't pay themselves. And if we don't have a plan to get them paid, it's not going to happen. Parenting, teach your kids these principles. Part of our homeschooling included work ethic. Our sons were expected to work hard. Yes. They have been investing since they were young. By the time they are 40, they will be millionaires. They go to work every day, do their job well, plan for their... Amen. See, we need mamas. It is mamas that deposit culture into the children. But when mama out here trying to live her best life and do stuff and not instilling that kind of cultural dynamic in the child, this is how you get young people who are like, well, I'm just going to be a millionaire and I'm going to make $500,000 and I'm going to sell these lashes. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Like, that's how it's going to happen. No, it's mamas. Mamas like the Jackies of the world who were like, okay, baby, I hear you, but no, that's not how the real world works. Like, sometimes you got to slap your child. Like how my mama, that first semester at Spelman, when my grades were trash, she was like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to get a job to help offset this because you out here wasting money. It wasn't until I got that job that I was able to go to work and get my schoolwork done and turn my GPA from like a 2 point something to a 3. Was it 3.2 or 3.4? It was like, was it 3.6? I can't even remember. It was over 20 some years ago. But the point I'm making is, we got to stop lying to women. And this is the hard part that's going to hurt for my single women. This part that's going to hurt, but you will be okay. You might hate me, block me, you might delete me after this, but you're going to be all right. I was a business owner before I met my husband. I had my insurance agency, and that didn't pan out. I can tell that story. It's a good story too. And I learned a lot, and I'm actually so glad it happened. But it wasn't until my husband and I got married and I got on his program and he was leading, and I was just filling in the details. Because he was just like, okay, we're going to start this business. And it's going to be like this. And this is what I want the logo to look like. And I'm like, okay, we need to make a logo. First, I need to learn how to make a logo. Made the logo. Then he's like, okay, we're going to need a truck. We're going to need a website. Okay, we don't have any money to build a website. So I'll add website building to my skill set. And to build a website. Then he's like, okay, we're going to need someone to answer the phones when people call to schedule these deliveries. And you're just one person. So we're going to have to figure out how that's going to work. I was like, okay, it looks like we need an IVR system where people can press 1 for what they need. Looks like I got to figure out how to get that done. Like, there were all of these things that needed to happen and that needed to get done. But he laid out the vision and I filled it in with the details. And then together we made it happen. This business would be in the hole right now if it wasn't for Robert stepping in saying, no, we cannot spend every dime we earn. We are going to put some away, and we're going to put some away, and then we're going to reinvest it back into the business. And had I not had the self-control to be like, nope, you're not getting Louboutins this year. Nope, you've got enough Michael Kors purses. You're not getting another one this year. Nope, the kids don't need that. They're good. All of the basics are paid. We've got one car. Okay, we need one reliable one. We'll keep the used one that's paid off, and we'll just get the one car. And he said he would resolve to ride around in the raggedy Suburban. Like, we're okay with that. But what I find, when you're single and you don't have that manly influence in your life to slap reality into you, we make a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. Because we don't want to submit to the leadership of a man. And we're too stupid to realize that God has uniquely gifted men to lead and to protect and to provide. And men are not going to make emotional decisions. They're going to make ones based off of rational fact. It's us that want to be emotional, right? God uniquely equips men and women with different skills, and women, to our own detriment, we don't want to listen to the man, and then we end up screwed. I've seen it happen. I've seen married couples where the wife, she's just hell-bent on doing what she want to do, and the business fails. There's a matter of fact, the person, yeah, I'm telling all this business, but hey, he told it. So, the person that owns this building is legally married, but living in a bona fide state of separation because his wife didn't want to get on the program. Stop calling me. I don't know who this is. She didn't want to get on the program. He say up, she say down. He say right, he say left. This man is a millionaire with a real estate portfolio that is just ridiculous right now. And she leases space from him because every real estate decision and investment opportunity that he was like, this is the right way and we should do it this way, she said no. And now she got a lease space from him. That couple, they special. But he will tell you in a heartbeat. He was like, she just stubborn and hard-headed. She got to figure it out on her own the hard way. Why be married to somebody and when they say something that's for your own good and for your protection, you just decide, I don't want to listen. I want to do it my way. And I'm not. And then when it happens, you're too prideful to crawl back and say, honey, I am sorry. You were right. I was so wrong. And now I done put the family in a bad situation because I just was on my Jezebel that day. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. So this was a long, convoluted live. The point, I brought up that Kevin Samuels Instagram to point out about how I don't understand where these young women get these lofty dreams of getting a bag and being a boss. But I'm like, you ain't even worked a 9-to-5 for 5 years straight in excellence. Where do you think you're going to learn how to do, like, everything I've learned, I learned because I worked for somebody else. And I didn't just work there. I said, I need to learn the way this operation is working. I wanted to know all the inner movings of how that business works. And I took notes, and when I left, I took that knowledge and those skills with me because I knew I was going to need it one day. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I can't watch another young person who is delusional, who thinks that they're going to be making $500,000 when they're like 35 and they have no clue how they're going to get there. They just want it. They want it, but they haven't given thought to the how. And Lord forbid if you mention cooperating with a man, oh Lord, you might as well cancel Christmas at that point. Mom, I can't talk to you right now. You might as well cancel Christmas if you even think about telling a young girl, you know, life is a lot easier when you've got a man there. Y'all mamas is raising these girls to be independent and get your own money. Like, men don't care about that. Your money is inconsequential to them because we don't spend it on them no way. Like, young girls need to learn the importance of following. I'll say that. We got too many bosses. We got too many women bosses, and ain't nobody following nobody. We all just out here leading ourselves into a ditch. And I'm tired of seeing it. And I see these women training up the younger women with this toxic mindset, and not on my watch. Not my girls. So I'll get to your questions on your comments when I get a moment. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be an entrepreneur. I encourage it, but it has to be based in reality. And I got to see that you're willing to put in the work. Like, and I mean, like, put in some serious work. Like, how much research are you doing after your 9-to-5 job into how you're going to enter the marketplace with your product or service? Like, how are you going to be different? How? Like, and if you're a woman and your husband has goals of being an entrepreneur, then you make it your life mission to figure out how we gonna get him there. Well, what skill set does he lack, or what's missing that I could be adding to help us get there? But don't just sit back and just watch him try to stumble through it and figure it out. If you're a woman, most women have the gift of administration. And if you don't, maybe God just didn't gift you that way. But God gifted me with the gift of administrate. I will administrate the heck. When I say I'm the director of operations, my husband will tell you, ask April. I don't know. Go ask her. Where is that? I don't know. Go ask her. Because he really don't know. He ain't lying. He don't know. And it's okay. Because don't ask me how to put that together. I don't know. It's got screws and bolts. I mean, I can identify the parts, and if I had to put that together, I could do it. I would just struggle through it, and it would take me twice as long, but I could do it. All I know is when he runs out of mattress bags and shrink wrap, hey, we're out of mattress bags and shrink wrap. He don't know where I buy them from. I just order them, and then they show up. It's just how it works. Men and women need each other. I would not be able to run this business without him. He would not be able to run this business without me. It just how it goes. So, y'all take care. Grace and peace. But get some realistic goals and dreams, because all y'all out here talking about y'all want to be a boss and get the bag. You don't even know how to get the bag. Like, money don't grow on trees. Like, stop. Y'all sound crazy. And influence. Women just use it wrong. Good wife. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, I got to go, y'all. I got to work. I'm busy. No, I'm not busy, but I need to be busy.